Welcome to the Generosity Experience, the podcast from Neon One, where we explore how our community show generosity, not just through money, but through relationships, time, and advocacy. I'm Tim Sarrantonio.
And I'm Sam Nyland. Together, we help nonprofit professionals connect more deeply with their communities, move supporters to meaningful action, and simplify how generosity gets done.
Each conversation brings forward the voices and insights that are shaping the future of generosity, from strategy to systems, and everything in between. Hello, and welcome to our August episode of the Generosity Experience. I am Sam Nyland for today. Sam is on vacation, so this is Tim Sarrantonio. I'm going to be taking over for this particular segment, where we are going to learn about what's going on in the Neon One ecosystem. I am thrilled to welcome back Anna Van Cleef. Anna, how are you doing today?
Really good. How about you?
Pretty good, because we're about to talk about some cool stuff.
Yeah, we are.
So today, when folks, if you're listening to it on the release day of the podcast, our release just came out over the weekend. And so we're going to talk about what's in that, but there's also a webinar later today. So if you want to head to neon1.com and check out our webinars under the resources section, you'll be able to hear about that later today. But we also record those too. So Anna, what's in the release? Maybe let's go through a rundown, and then I want to pull one out that you're particularly excited about. How about we do it that way?
Yeah, we can do that. It might be hard, but yeah, we can do it that way.
I know. It's like choosing a favorite child or favorite animal, right?
Exactly.
So we love them all. So let's hear about them all. What happened just this past weekend?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We are excited for workflows. First up for the August release, where we're introducing a few things. First, we're introducing the ability to have letters in our workflow process. This really makes it possible to not only have emails as part of this automated chain or a drip experience, but you now have that option to add letters to an overall engagement experience for your customer, your constituents. We also are adding some new triggers where we're adding volunteer shift start date and attended an event, making it to where it's easier for you to create automations that are based upon either the start of a shift rather, or attending an event. From there, the workflows having letters in them, as well as these additional triggers, allow for a new thing to take place, and that is letter certificates. But also email certificates. So anytime, regardless of where you're at, campaign system or workflows, you can create either in a letter or an email a new certificate. Now, if you're in an email, what would happen is a new certificate, let's say you wanted to recognize someone from a volunteering perspective, that you're giving a superlative, they had the most hours, they were the most fun, whatever. You could put that in an email, or you could put it as a letter and print that out for them, put it in a PDF, send it to them overall. But over kind of the ability to say, we're recognizing you, but also if you attend an event and you've completed a class, let's say, now all of a sudden you can have a certificate of completion, and that can be made available for you. So we're really excited about that. We also have household improvements. Now, this is just huge, and we'll probably dive a little bit deeper there, but household improvements, I'm going to come back to and spend more time on. Ticket type capacities. This allows, if you have some pre-selected like VIP member, general admission, we're going to allow the system, much like our legacy events, our next gen events, will be able to kind of define a ticket type capacity for any of those that you've defined and set up. So we're really excited about that. And of course, we have the That's Not All section, but I'll let you all go to the webinar to see what those things are. But we'll come back to households and dive in there.
Yeah, let's dive into households, because actually I've been thinking about this a lot. And I think I even wrote about this because there was the Facebook group, the unofficial Facebook group. Yes, we know it exists. And I'm in there. And that's been a learning process. But one of the things that I have learned is that some folks, and this goes back, Anna, to like 15 years, this has been an argument. How do you configure a household? Because when I used a system like Razor's Edge, for instance, it would have a primary record and then you put kind of like a sub record.
Right.
Salesforce, for instance, would actually make a third type of object that you would have to run reports on, the household object. But Neon does this differently. So maybe if you want to talk a little bit, because I like how we do it. And so the Facebook group, like, we were kind of not arguing about this, but there was definitely like some people who were like, I think it's too complicated, so I put everybody in one record. You know, it's like first name, last name for the couple in the first name field, and this. That's not ideal for a lot of reasons. So let's talk about that. Like, let's sell people on why households are cool and what this release does to make it even cooler, Hannah.
Yeah. So when we think about our solution, a lot of it is based on the account level. And what we think of as an account is a single person or company. And so when we're creating that, we like to have relationships. And one of those types of relationships is a household, where we have multiple different people, where you can define how the summary of all of the different activities across the accounts are happening. So let's say you have donations from one member of a household and another. You can see that organizationally on one page in reports and details, but it's still being able to be defined at an individual level. So you know the engagement of each individual party. But a lot of times, and even recently, people want to engage the household, not necessarily just the individual people. And so when you want to engage that household, being able to say, well, what do I call these things? Is it the Sarrantonio residents? Is it the Sarrantonios?
That's how I would answer the phone growing up.
Exactly. So,
because folks, remember when you had phones in your house and it was attached to a wall? For all you young fundraisers out there that may be listening, that's how I was taught to do things. So, okay, so you're doing your phone calls, you're doing your mailings, things like that. Having that salutation is very important. What else? What else?
Well, and in that, you also might want to engage to understand what might be happening at a household level. So you might need some notes, right? It could be that you wanted to recognize an anniversary at the household level, or you wanted to engage from a membership perspective at a household level with some sub members that are the members of the household, things like that. We are really excited, though, for what we're introducing in this case, which is the automation of the naming convention, making it to where you can clean up your data even for existing households. And we realize that people want to name them differently. It's not always going to be the Sarrantonios. It might just be maybe it's first name, or first and last name, or it's the last names or whatever, right? So if you have various different options as configurations, we wanted to make it easier. And that's what we did. We made the configurations. We made it to where you can kind of select from a standardized list. We'll continue to add. So if you have thoughts and suggestions, add them into the suggestions portal. But we wanted to make it to where you could kind of clean this up and make it to where automatically when you merged people, or it merges for you, hooray, into a household, you don't have to self-select or self-manage. We will leverage that automatic merging to be able to detect address matches. And then you can say, actually, these aren't one household, or they are. And that naming just is going to make a big difference. We also are adding that note, like I said, which we haven't had in the past.
I have to tell you, this is giving me flashbacks to working at the Catholic school before Neon, because the biggest pain in the ass project was when they decided we're going to switch the household salutations.
Yep.
Because they actually wanted the women to go first in the thing, which is great. But logistically, huge pain in the ass to do. And so that is very, very cool to hear. I can't wait to play around with that. That's the type of thing that, especially like, this still comes down to data integrity that the CRM like needs you human to do,
Yes.
especially with households. Because if
Yeah,
somebody gets divorced or things like that, you have to also
exactly.
address that. And I think that Neon approaches it in a way that makes this easy. So this is really cool. I'm really nerding out right now.
Yay! We're
Anna,
hoping that many nerd out.
well, good. So throw some 5-minute parties, folks, for this one. I think
Yeah.
this is a big one. Anna, we could continue to talk all the time, but we have a fantastic interview that Sam Nyland had with Ben Williams coming right up. But can you
Nice.
give us a little bit of a tease of what might be coming in September?
Oh, there's a lot happening in September.
Well,
One of the
give
biggest
us the big
things.
one.
Okay, the big one is that we're introducing a new peer-to-peer capability within the CRM, and we are excited for that whole new experience for our customers, their fundraisers, and the networks of that fundraiser and their supporters. So we're excited for a whole new experience.
Love it.
And
Love it.
it's coming. And if you want to raise your hand, let us know. So.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Anna, thank you once again. We'll see you next month. And everybody have a great rest of the August. We can just be right back. We got a great interview with Ben Williams coming right up.
And that's a wrap. It sounds like Tim had a great conversation with our Senior Director of Product Management, Anna Van Cleef, talking to us about all of the awesome August enhancements. So thanks, Tim. While I was out on vacation, you took care of that conversation. But we are here today, or I am back and talking with our awesome guest. His name is Ben Williams. He is the Executive Director at the Connect Center. And a few of you may think that his name rings a bell, and it does, because he was the co-host of last year's Generosity Exchange. And we're super excited to have Ben here today. So, hey, Ben.
Hey, Sam. I am super excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yay. So let's just start things right off. Can you give our listeners a little bit of background about yourself and the work that you do with the folks at the Connect Center?
Absolutely. So the Connect Center is a nonprofit in Cohoes, New York. We service the greater capital region area. For those who are unfamiliar with Cohoes, it's kind of in the capital district, right around the capital of Albany, New York. So we run a kind of a dual-pronged approach to anti-poverty, where we are supporting the community where they're at currently and also providing for future community needs. So the current support looks like a lot of food insecurity work and community support work through our Connect Pantry and collaborative backpack programs with the Regional Food Bank. Both of those programs have just been absolutely exploding over the past 18 months. Our food pantry is currently growing at 127% rate right now, which is wild. We're on track to send out over 100,000 meals this year. Kind of for context, we're up from 8,000 meals just like 2 years ago. So it's a big jump in service. And our backpack program is kind of growing the same. We're feeding more families every weekend, working with the Regional Food Bank in the Cohoes City School District. And it's just two amazing programs, and, kind of really blessed to be in position to respond to the need like that. So in addition to the food insecurity work that we do, we also do really dynamic youth programming for students in grades 6 through 12. All of our programming is STEAM-based. So STEAM is an acronym that stands for science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. The arts piece makes it a little different from STEM. I love the arts. I'm kind of an artist myself, a former chef, so culinary artist, also a musical artist. So some of the spaces in the Connect Center kind of, are kind of built from my interests a little bit. So we have a music studio, we have a full culinary kitchen that's Board of Health approved. We actually just finished building out an incubator project. We call it the indoor food truck. So it's this little piece of the kitchen that we made to replicate and simulate a food truck, so kids can get in there and test different menus, do different pricing strategies, different food concepts, and feel what it's like to work in a restricted space with restricted resources. So I'm really excited about that. In addition to those two spaces, we also have an arcade that we call the Black Box Arcade, where we do some esports and game development stuff. And then we have a room called the Tech Hub, where we do everything nerdy there, from Lego League to 3D printing to environmental studies with microscopes, soil testing, build your own computer labs, a whole bunch of free workshops for the students in our community. So those workshops and those programs are basically split out into a summer session and then 2 after school sessions during the year. So kind of a really unique organization. I've never seen another organization that does what we do. But I think it's a very cool approach to alleviating poverty in the Capital District.
100%. Oh my gosh, that sounds fantastic. I want to join at the Connect Center.
It's a lot of fun.
I mean, wow. The food truck situation is pretty awesome. I mean, just the amount of learning that probably takes place from, you mentioned like pricing strategies and just probably learning how to interact with quote unquote customers, or even like timeline and time management with food prep and things like that. That's incredible.
Yeah, thank you. It's a really cool project.
Yeah. And you mentioned you do programming. All throughout the year, you're involved with schools and just the greater community at large. I think it also speaks volumes to probably some youth come and learn so much about themselves, like may come and have an interest in, maybe math, but 3 months in are like, I actually really like culinary stuff, or, hey, I actually like music production.
Yes.
I'm sure you see a lot of that.
Yeah. And that's the goal, right? Is to have some like fun, engaging hooks to bring them in and expose them to all these high paying careers eventually, but what we call career exploration right at the beginning, right? So it's not workforce development where they're like, hey, I chose my path, I want to go on this path, but it's exposure to a lot of different industries and a lot of different ways to, make a living, whether it be entrepreneurial or, a trade or the college route. We want to open doors for all of those things and give kids access. So it's a really, really cool project.
Totally. It's like, I remember back in the day, we'd take do you remember taking those tests? There was only you're either going to be a plumber, a doctor, or like a lawyer. And those were like the only things that any kids got.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And I remember being told to lay off the video games because it's not going to help me get into college and it's not going to be a career. And now those things are totally flipped on their heads and I'm here for it. It's amazing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, Ben. So I know you recently took a trip and flew to Washington, D.C. to present at the Bridge Tech Conference with, of course, my wonderful co-host, Tim Sarrantonio. So I would love to hear, I got to understand his take on the conference and what his experience was like, but I would love to get your insight on your experience.
Yes. Shout out to Tim. It was incredible. It was an incredible experience. I think the thing that really stuck out to me the most, I was probably the smallest organization there, annual budget wise. But it was really reassuring to know that, a lot of these larger orgs are kind of dealing with the same issues that I'm dealing with. That was really great to see. And even encouraging because, building things from the ground up, we're just kind of 4 years in now. But we still have a unique opportunity to build things the correct way and sustainable. So I think some of these best practices that I heard from the top dogs in the industry are easily translatable to an organization of my size. So that was really encouraging to hear.
Yeah. Tim mentioned that there were, that particular conference typically draws, like, as you mentioned, really big dogs. There's some larger organizations. So
Yeah.
I can assume that was a great learning experience, but also vice versa. Like, it's cool to have you represented at a big conference like that.
It was cool, and it was really great to be able to share my experience too, as somebody who didn't originate from this sector, and I got to share some like unique things that we've done, and like I watch people's kind of eyes, flutter a little bit and their brains explode, because we do some really like innovative stuff for being such a small organization. I did get to talk about our annual fundraiser that we just had called Tacos for Life, and how I'm using tacos to change a community, and how it all started out of kind of like a culinary program in our summer session, and how I wanted to give the kids more of a real life restaurant service experience, right? That's the whole goal of the Connect Center, is to create these experiences and create access. So we started Tacos for Life, and then the thing just exploded. We just had year 5, and it became like a block party. So we turned it into like an area wide contest for best taco in the 518. That's our area code. And it's just a block party celebrating collaboration. A lot of our community partners were there. We love collaborating. I mean, we literally live the name Connect Center. It's a center for connection, not just for the youth, not just for my pantry clients, but for everybody. It's a very communal community space.
Yeah. So tell our listeners, and tell me a little bit more about kind of that event. You mentioned it's grown. You said this is your 5th year.
Yeah, our 5th iteration.
Okay.
Year 1, we held like a baby one and then a real one. So it's technically the 5th one. But yeah, it's just grown. So last year we turned it into an area competition because it had grown so much. The amount of people showing up was too much for me and the kids to cook for.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, let's invite our restaurant friends. Let's invite other, culinary programs. So we had last year we had students from the local Seat Center represented that are in a culinary program. And, my kids got to compete as well against like actual like restaurant pros. And it was amazing. But it turned into this block party, and we had a DJ and a taco ATM. So in 2024, KeyBank, which has been a great partner to us, their marketing team created an automated taco machine, an ATM. So the ATM pulled up and was dispensing tacos, and you got to, type it in on the touch screen, and you got a receipt and a little sauce packet. It was really neat marketing.
The best type of ATM that I ever heard of.
Right?
That's super cool.
But it was so perfectly aligned with the Connect Center, combining technology and tacos. It was stunning. But the event overall was just a smash success. And this year was amazing too. And it's just such a fun event, so outside of the box for fundraising.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I think. I like to see what everybody else is doing and then kind of do the opposite, to differentiate, stand out, and niche in the sector.
Yeah, I love that. And I think as someone who is super creative like yourself, tell me a little bit about how you incorporate technology into that. Are there creative ways that you're using technology just for whether that's fundraising or through events or working with volunteers or things of that nature?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, yeah, the ATM was amazing. And then also during that event, we had some people live streaming and raising money for us live stream online, through their gaming communities, which was wild. we did that. We've, been incorporating Neon One into all facets of the organization. So in this year's event in 25, we used it heavily for ticketing and text alerts, which was really amazing because every year prior, we've had serious ticketing issues and bottlenecking. We're also using it to manage volunteers.
Okay.
So, we're using it as a database and a communication tool for volunteers, especially for the event. We're starting to use it for student registrations and enrollment. It's amazing. It's amazing. I mean, we're set to at the end of this year, we're set to really launch our first major email campaign through Neon. So I'm really excited to see how that goes. Yeah, technology everywhere. I mean, we use ChatGPT like it's going out of style. I love integrating AI. We've taught music courses, how to create music with AI. We've coded with AI. I've grant written with AI, apart from like the everyday applications of like email and text. So yeah, we love technology, and I just I saw that in college. A lot of my friends where it became engineers and went into very high paying careers. And I just saw the impact of technology and how that can change a future for a young student. So I love to incorporate it where I can, teach them where I can. Yeah, it's what they need to survive in the upcoming job market, the current job market too.
Yeah, I think you really nailed that on the head. And I think what an awesome resource because just chatting with you, you are a generally curious person. I can already tell.
Absolutely.
And I think, that's how we have to be with technology these days. So,
yes.
Yeah, in launching a big email campaign with Neon, are you using all the jazzy workflows and things like that?
Not yet, but we are starting to look at them and learn about them deeper as a team. There's so many features in Neon One. It's incredible the amount of different tools that the CRM offers. So learning them and incorporating them are definitely two different things. And but we are definitely going to get into it to really kind of target and niche our email campaigns this winter.
Perfect. Yeah, always gotta ask. And I think, you exactly. There's different parts of the system that you will dive into when the moment is right. And I know chatting with Tim and learning more about the Connect Center, I mean, you guys have a ton of volunteers. So can you just talk briefly about like the different ways that you celebrate your volunteers, whether that's, potlucks or things like that, but then also how technology has helped you manage volunteers. I know you mentioned like being able to have the ability to text them and things of that nature.
Yeah. The communications thing is the biggest part. So we threw in April a volunteer appreciation brunch where I donned my old chef coat and got in the kitchen and made a bunch of pancakes and eggs and bacon for people and just invited them all to the space all at once. So we have a relatively large space. We're retrofitting a 132-year-old cathedral space in Cohoes. So the Connect Center has about 10,000 square feet on its floor. And we just invited a bunch of people, and over 110 people came. And the vibes were amazing. The food was great. We did some superlatives and recognized some outstanding volunteers. We got to meet them and hear them and, listen to their needs. And one of the big needs was communication. Like they wanted to know when they could volunteer more and bring their friends and what other opportunities were available. And that's a great question to have. So, using some of those workflows that we just talked about, we're going to be able to really get in there and communicate more effectively, because we offer so many services. Some volunteers really resonate with one thing versus the other. So really getting them engaged at their point of interest is top priority for us. But also at that event, we say that volunteering is, the beginning of the donor pipeline. We were able to convert a few of the volunteers into recurring givers. So we got several people enrolled in our Connect Partner program, which is our recurring giving program. And Neon is just making that a breeze to make happen. And it's really what we need to become more sustainable over, the next 5 to 10 years, is really building out that Connect Partner base.
Because that's revenue you can count on.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really, that leads me, as we wrap things up here, into my last question. And I think you've nailed some of this on the head. I've worked with many organizations that, are asking questions like how can we better appreciate our volunteers or become more connected? And I think you are a prime example of that. Hey, just put on a chef coat and make them pancakes. Yeah. Number one. Number two, communicate with them and have good technology in place to be able to do so.
Yeah.
But what advice would you give other youth-focused organizations that are maybe just in the beginning of their fundraising journey, or perhaps looking for new technology, or perhaps just upgrading their technology?
Sure. The advice I would give to me starting over again is really hone in on your donor base. I think that's one of the biggest opportunities for us right now, even being 4 years in, is really connecting with our donor base. We grew so quickly because of grant funding. So like the majority of our annual income is grant reliant, which is, a blessing and a curse at the same time, because as we know, grants can change. And, but having people locked in as a recurring giver is very steady, very consistent. And I wish I had the wherewithal or the platform to do that with early on. And, it's been a learning journey for me. I didn't come from the sector. I've been learning about fundraising and grants and donor relations, just kind of on the fly as I go through it. And I really love it. I've developed kind of a knack for it. And, I'm looking forward to even learning more and implementing more stuff. But that's what I would say to somebody starting out is, find a technology that both fits your budget and fits your need, right? So find a technology that's going to help you capture the excitement of starting up your nonprofit.
And I would say, and also be creative and curious, like Ben. Everybody.
Yes. Creativity rules.
There.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Ben. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today and learning more about the Connect Center and the amazing programs that you offer. I know likely the next time we chat, you'll probably have some new thing that you're rolling out with. So excited to hear about that. But thanks again. And thanks, listeners, for tuning in again to Voices of Generosity, where we dive into the stories of Neon One clients like Ben and the Connect Center and explore how generosity shapes their work and their communities. So thanks again, Ben, and we'll be in touch soon.
Pleasure. Thanks, Sam.
Hey, Sam, how you doing? That was a great interview that you just had with Ben.
Yes, he is a gem in the rough.
Yes. Oh, in upstate New York, there's a lot of rough.
Well, he's a true gem, and yeah, we had a great conversation.
Well, one of the things that I'm kind of experimenting on with community is doing a little bit of local sponsorships of a few events like Ben's, like Tacos for Life, also the Create community studio doing a kind of a cornhole tournament for them, right? These are like little micro grants that I'm doing for their typical sponsorship stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
what I'm really curious about testing though is the check-in process for these events.
Uh-huh.
So that relates to the hotline for this month, which is how can you remove bottlenecks when you're having an event? It could be a gala, it could be a theater performance, it could be whatever, right? In Neon,
Yeah.
how do you streamline that, right? Like somebody walks up to you, they got their ticket. What can we do?
Well, I have a great answer for you, and it's super simple. Inside of the CRM, there is a little icon, a drop down, and it is for just this. It is for sales and check-in. So a user could simply navigate to that event, today's event, right? And you can easily scan people in with their tickets using your camera functionality on your phone, or if you have folks at your event who maybe are just using an iPad to scan people in, they can say hello, and literally, as people come into the event, they can check people in. So
well, what about those pesky volunteers that, you have to give everybody a login, right?
You do not need to give everybody a login.
What? Folks,
Yeah.
obviously I'm being facetious, but this is one of those things that come up all the time because it's like, I've had this before with other things, like you have to download the app, right? Like here's the check-in app. That's what was around for a while. How did we solve that problem?
There's a simple link that you can send to your volunteers. So if I was, the lead volunteer of the registration table or checking people in, my nonprofit organization could literally day of send me a link, and then I'll have access to all of the attendees for that day, or all of the registrants. I won't have full access to the CRM, but I'll have access to that entire list of registrants, and it will have a user interface that is very similar to CRM, and I can easily check people in that way.
I think the thing that I also stress in this moment, right, is people sometimes get really hung up on using the technology. And what I mean by this is that we provide a way to use your iPad or your phone to scan like a QR code coming from the ticket, that platform that we have. But I've just, humans are humans. I've witnessed this. This is partially why I'm doing these experiments, Sam, is because I want to witness like human behavior in the wild, the donor in the wild, right? Like actual people trying to check in. I love watching this stuff. I like just love paying attention to it. And one thing that I can recommend is train the volunteer on the whole part of that. And that means like, cool, the QR code thing is nice, but did you know that there's a simple, hi, I can look somebody up by your name thing too? Just do that. Because if they're like, it's not working, then don't use that and switch over to the thing. Get the person checked in as quickly as possible. It's like when you're checking in for your travel, right? If the damn thing doesn't work eventually, they type it into the computer. That's what this is. So cool. Is there anything else when it comes to kind of in-person stuff that we might want to address right now?
No, I think you kind of cleared that question up. I mean, in a more concise and easier way than I tried to say.
Oh, stop it.
It is very much like we really did make this process very simple. Like tried to cover all the different ways that it could potentially go wrong. Yeah. And so we have it covered.
And I know that the white whale is always the in-person stuff, and folks, hold your horses. But like, there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to payments, by the way. But when it comes to getting people in the door, being happy, I'm pretty happy that we got that covered. So, Sam, we got
long long line waiting to get in.
Absolutely. We don't want to avoid that.
No.
So awesome. We are going to be back. We have Generosity Exchange. You can go to neon1.com/GX. Hope to see you. We're going to hear from some awesome guests, some different folks coming up. So, Sam, you got the final word. What's, take us away.
What am I saying?
Yeah, I'm forcing you to do that. Compose yourself and redo it.
What am I going to say for next? Okay. All right, folks, that's a wrap on August. Which you know what that means? That means summer's over, school's started. You'll catch Tim and I in September with some brand new episodes, some brand new clients to talk with, and some awesome new conversations.
Thanks for listening to the Generosity Experience. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast listening platform. We'll see you in 2 weeks.